Inclusive Housing Cohort Program is a 3-year program that really connects community members to the future projects that are going to be happening in Beaverton and giving their feedback, learning about this project. Year 1, Justin actually came to discuss the project, the affordable housing project, and we had some folks here, Sarah and Lori over here, and was talking about this. And then now fast forward, we're about to be entering year 3. And the first year we started with 8 people, second year we started with 12, and hopefully this year we'll do 15, but it's growing and we're slowly creating more house justice advocates here in Beaverton to advocate for inclusive and equitable housing. What I am excited about this project specifically is that it's right next to a beautiful high school. For those who don't know, I used to be a teacher, and education has always been really important to me because I didn't have access to it growing up. So the fact that this is going to be in a place where students can actually receive good education and live in a really good neighborhood instead of being traditionally segregated into low-income areas, I'm just thankful that we're able to help make that happen. And then also, my role within Unite Oregon is to make sure that the programming is going smooth and safely all the time. So, who here knows about Unite Oregon? Okay, we're here. And if you don't know, that's okay. Let's set up a meeting so we can chit chat and gossip. Okay, I'm a gossip girl. So thank you all for being here, and that's all for Unite Oregon.
Ernesto should be giving everybody a speech. It's now my great pleasure to introduce someone who was absolutely critical in our ability to reach closing. Lacey Beaty hit the ground running as Beaverton's mayor in January 2021 and hasn't slowed down. From helping to establish the country's first mass vaccine site to bringing in over $5 million to support Beaverton projects, she's been hard at work for our community. She's been a partner in getting this project off the ground, and I'm glad she's here to share with us today. Mayor Beaty.
Well, that didn't quite have the energy of Ernesto, so maybe next time we make sure that you get a hype up to introduce me. Ernesto's joining Team Beaty for sure. I want to take a minute to welcome some of the many elected officials. Of course, I'm going to start, because local government matters, with my team, Councilor Hassan, Councilor Hartmeyer-Prigg, Councilor Tivnon. Thank you for joining us today. Of course, State Treasurer Tobias Reed, he calls Beaverton home, so thank you for joining us today. From Metro, we have our partners Juan Carlos Gonzalez and Garrett Rosenthal, you'll hear from later. And we have a plethora of state reps that have joined us, Representative Campos, Representative Neuron, Representative Scouten, and our favorite Special District Park and Recreation Director, Heidi Edwards. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we are taking a visible step to increase our supply of affordable housing. We'll have 164 units, and that will house over 300 of Beaverton's most vulnerable seniors and families. It'll be elevator served, and adheres to the principles of universal design and will be indistinguishable from other housing. When you look from the school, you won't say, oh, that's a building for low-income people. We're gonna say, look at that amazingly designed building, that house, it returns dignity to people that live in our community. Adjacent to this will be our future development. We're hoping a library next to the high school and a half-an-acre public park. Making sure that we have parks accessible to people is something our community values and continues to vote for time after time after time. We'll have 3 buildings. They'll all be served with elevators. And if you've heard me talk in the last 2 years, you know one of the most important things is air conditioning. As climate chaos is hitting our community, we have to think about designing of our buildings to meet today's demands and not building the way that we used to. Climate change is real, and we're living the impacts on a daily basis. There's gonna be robust amenities. There'll be fitness centers. There'll be meeting rooms, multicultural education, event space, and even dog grooming. So if you own a dog and you live in the building, you're gonna be able to wash them and not in your sink, because that's a terrible place to do it. So I mentioned that because it's the thoughtful design that Wishcamper is bringing everyone in to talk about. It's not just a place to house people, it's a community, and it's a place where people can live and thrive. Wishcamper is in the process of forming a lot of partnerships with the help of Unite Oregon. I know they're also meeting with Virginia Garcia and Apano and others, because we know how important it is to center the voices of our community that have not easily had access to government. But I think the question I get most often as mayor is, why don't you just build more affordable housing? And it's a little tongue-to-cheek when people say it to me, and I tend to laugh a little bit and just say, okay, well, show me the money. But the reality is, let's talk a little bit about this story to get here today. First we had to talk about the urban growth boundary, and most of you here know what that is, and if not, we all have trauma about bringing property into it and figuring out how to build around it. But it gave Beaverton the opportunity to be thoughtful for the first time about a large area. And we didn't just take the first people that wanted to punch our dance card. We really thought about who should be here, what the school should look like. We had lots of meetings about the fields at the school. They were underserving women. And so we fought really hard from the council pulpit to make sure that this school was inclusive of the community. And then we wanted to pick a developer that shared our values. And most importantly, they also chose us, because I think sometimes in government we forget that it's a two-way street. Then we brought on Colas Construction, and we were very proud. Everyone bragged about you, including me. My first week on the job, I got to talk about how we had the first BIPOC-owned major construction company building a project within our city limits. But I want you to know that they also chose us. They chose us to partner with on such a big project, and that's really important. If it wasn't for Metro and every single elected official fighting for the Metro housing bond to go over, the debates, the writing voter pamphlet statements, convincing people to vote, and our community overwhelmingly choosing to pass a measure that would build affordable housing, we wouldn't be standing here today. And then the project faced fiscal uncertainty with inflation and everything else that was happening. Just 2 or 3 months ago, we sat here talking about this amazing project, and then within hours realized that we were in a cash shortfall and we had to spring to work. Representative Noron got on the phone, State Treasurer Tobias Reed got on the phone. We convinced the state to help us close the gap of funding we needed to have here. And my city council held an emergency meeting after a very long budget meeting to make sure that we approved a letter so the state knew that this project was the most important thing to us right now. And we, at our city council, approved over $1 million of ARPA funding for this project, and we helped secure another $9 million from Metro to do this. It takes a lot, yeah. I'm trying to be upbeat and happy after following Ernesto, but the reality is I'm just freaking excited. This project is awesome. It's adjacent to a school, but I want you to know that our community always wants us to have simple solutions to complex problems. Every single level of government intervened to make this project happen today. So the next time someone asks, why don't you just build more affordable housing? You have a really eloquent response in what it took to develop this project here today. So on behalf of the city, on behalf of my council colleagues, thank you, Colas Construction. Thank you, Wishcamper, for choosing our community. I cannot wait for what is next. And because I'm a multifaceted mayor, I'm going to introduce the next speaker. I'd like to introduce Metro Councilor Rosenthal. Councilor Rosenthal was sworn in as a Metro Councilor on January 6, 2021, serving District 3. He serves on Impact, the Oregon Zoo Foundation, the Transit-Oriented Development Steering Committee, and Land Conservation and Development Commission. He's a small business owner, an environmental consultant and planner, and he supports regional action to solve our issues on transportation and housing, and he is a great partner to the city of Beaverton. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'm glad to be here, and I appreciate the Mayor that she introduced everybody, so I don't have to go around and introduce everybody. I appreciate it. Lots of friends here. I'm welcome, and I do want to give a shout out to Councilor Gonzalez. Councilor Gonzalez and I are district split Beaverton. We work on projects together, such as the TV Highway Hope project, which is going to improve things in Beaverton. So he's here, and I want to appreciate that very much. I want to say that I'm very glad to be part of Metro and to be part of processes like this because, when you pass the bond issue, when the region passed the bond issue, we said we really are committed to housing, and that's a really big deal, and it's a really great deal. And the best news is, of course, is that we're moving faster than people thought we would. We're about, let's just say we're in process with about 80% of the housing. We only spent about 55-60% of the money. That said, of course, people are always disappointed. They say, well, you started the bond issue a couple years ago, and we don't have houses all over. Well, these things they're not like mushrooms. They don't just grow automatically. It takes a lot of people, as the mayor pointed out, to put together a project like this. It takes a whole bunch of different funders. Metro is only part of it, but we provide $9 million in this project, and it's a great project. It's a phased project. It's going to include market rate housing in the vicinity. It's a good thing. It's a regional commitment to build, and we are building things. There's another one that's probably going to start, another Beaverton. Well, you already know the Marianne opened last year. That's one project in downtown. There's another project that's going to groundbreak maybe in this fall. That's the Gold Crest or Gold something or other. It's just on the other side of the high school. I'm going to a project that is a grand opening this afternoon in Tigard. Tigard has other projects going on. They're throughout the region and on the west side and the east side. So I'm very proud to be here. I think this is a very interesting and a very complex project. A lot of good things, senior housing as well as a lot of multifamily housing. Great next to the high school. And we still have to work on getting the transportation out here, but that's, it's a difficult time these days. So I'm happy to be here, welcome you all, and it's a great event. Thank you.